They called him a ghost, a man you send to kill the boogeyman, until he vanished from the underworld, trading blood for love. John Wick left the world of assassins behind to live a quiet life with the woman who saved his soul. But life, it doesn't care about your peace. It takes what it wants. And when cancer stole his wife, all he had left was silence, and a final gift, a small puppy named Daisy. He didn't ask for vengeance. He didn't want violence. But when the wrong man took the last memory of his wife, they didn't just kill a dog. They pulled the devil out of retirement. This is the story of what happens when you push a man too far. This is the legend of John Wick, Chapter 1. After years of bloodshed, John Wick walked away from a world built on contracts, coins, and corpses. For the first time in his life, he found peace, not in violence, but in love. Her name was Helen. She was his redemption, his anchor. With her, John wasn't a killer. He was just a man. But peace, like all good things, never lasts. Helen fell ill, a sickness that even John Wick couldn't fight. And just like that, the light in his world faded to black. She left him with a final message, delivered not through words, but through life. A tiny beagle puppy named Daisy, left at his doorstep with a note. John, you need something to love again. Something to help you hold on. The puppy became his only reason to wake up each morning. They shared quiet breakfasts, long drives in his Mustang, and the empty stillness of a grieving home. In those brief moments, John found something he hadn't felt in a long time: hope. It was supposed to be just another day. John Wick took Daisy for a drive in his prized 1969 Mustang, letting the road, the engine, and the silence do what words couldn't. At a gas station stop, a young Russian thug named Isf Tarasov approached him, flashy watch on his wrist, arrogance in his tone. He made an offer to buy the car. John declined, politely, firmly. But Isf wasn't used to hearing no. He wasn't used to people standing their ground. That night, he and his crew followed John home. They broke in. They beat him down. They stole the Mustang. And then, they killed Daisy, a helpless puppy, whimpering, bleeding, dying beside a battered man too weak to move. It wasn't just a robbery. It wasn't just cruelty. It was an act of destruction against the last thing tethering John to his humanity. When he crawled over to the lifeless body of that tiny dog, he wasn't just grieving. He was remembering everything he'd tried to forget. And in that moment, something inside him snapped. Word travels fast in the underworld. It wasn't long before Isf Tarasov, proud of his crime,
What you did? You fucked up his dog. That's crazy shit, man.
boasted about the car he stole and the man he beat. But when his father, Vigo Tarasov, the head of the Russian crime syndicate, asked him who the man was, the air changed.
Oh.
John Wick, Isf said casually. Vigo froze. He didn't scream. He didn't curse. He just stared into the distance, pale and horrified. Because Vigo knew exactly who John Wick was. Not just a hitman. Not just a killer. John was the man you sent to kill the boogeyman. Vigo once watched John slaughter an entire room of armed men with nothing but a pencil. He remembered the body count John racked up to earn his freedom. And now, that man, the one who buried his past with concrete and blood, was coming back. Not for money. Not for business. For something far more terrifying: revenge. Vigo slapped his son, furious but afraid, because he knew this wasn't just trouble. This was a storm, and it was already at their door. The house was silent, but beneath that silence, something stirred. John Wick walked into his garage, not to get in his car, but to confront the past he tried to bury. With a sledgehammer in hand, he began to break through the concrete floor. Not just floorboards, these were tombstones. Beneath them lay his old life: gold coins, weapons, a black suit, all stored in a sealed vault. Each strike of the hammer echoed like a warning. John wasn't coming back to that world because he wanted to. He was coming back because they dragged him in by force. And now, they were going to pay. He made one call. One simple message: tell them, John Wick is back. That message spread like wildfire. In the underworld, his name still held weight, still stirred fear. Assassins heard it. Crime bosses listened. And all of them asked the same thing. Why would anyone be stupid enough to wake him up? John checks in at a familiar place, the Continental Hotel. Not just a hotel, a haven for killers. A sanctuary with rules, no bloodshed on hotel grounds. There, he meets Winston, the enigmatic manager, who knows better than to ask questions. He just raises a glass and says, "You working again, John?" John doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. The suit, the room key, the silence, it all says enough. The boogeyman isn't just back. He's preparing for war. The hunt begins. John Wick follows a trail of whispers and favors, pulling on old strings in a world that still fears his shadow. His target, ISF Tarasov. His location, the Red Circle, a high-end Russian nightclub pulsing with neon lights, techno beats, and false security. Inside, ISF parties without a care in the world. Surrounded by bodyguards, drenched in music, liquor, and arrogance. But then, the lights shift. The music fades, just for a moment. And out of the darkness, John Wick emerges. Silent, precise, dressed in black. What follows isn't just a gunfight, it's choreography. A bullet ballet. John weaves through the chaos with inhuman speed and accuracy. Headshot. Reload. Headshot. His movements are clean, efficient. Every enemy that draws a gun falls before they even know he's there. Blood mixes with the strobe lights. Bodies hit the ground as dancers keep moving, too high or drunk to understand what's happening. It's art and destruction wrapped into one flawless rampage. John gets close. He nearly has ISF. But the boy escapes, protected by layers of panic and dying guards. John doesn't scream. He doesn't curse. He just reloads and keeps going. Because this isn't just about revenge anymore. This is retribution, one bullet at a time. They took his wife. They took his dog. They stole his car, invaded his home, and tried to bury the legend. But now, they've made a fatal mistake. They reminded John Wick who he really is. Vigo Tarasov throws everything he has at John. Waves of killers, ambushes in alleys, betrayals masked as truce. But nothing stops him. Not pain, not bullets, not the blood running from fresh wounds. Because John isn't fighting for the future. He's not fighting for hope. He's fighting because there's nothing left to lose. He becomes a ghost again, slipping through shadows, dismantling an empire brick by brick. Vigo grows desperate. He even places a contract on John's head, calling in old acquaintances, even Ms. Perkins, an assassin who breaks the sacred rules of the Continental. But John isn't just faster or deadlier. He's more determined. He's not afraid to die, because death would be a release. Until then, every breath he takes is a promise. Someone will pay. And as the bodies fall and Vigo's criminal kingdom begins to crumble, one thing becomes terrifyingly clear. This is not vengeance fueled by rage. This is punishment delivered with purpose. The war ends where it began, on the streets, in the dark, with blood on the pavement. John Wick chases Vigo Tarasov to the bitter end. There's no elegance now, just rage, grit, and exhaustion. No guns, no tricks, just two men in the rain, fighting to finish something they never should have started. And when it's over, when Vigo lies broken in the gutter, John doesn't celebrate. He just breathes. Every step hurts. Every wound bleeds. But he keeps walking, limping into the quiet ruins of the city. In a lonely animal clinic, he stitches himself up. Just another scar added to a collection. And then, in the corner, a dog. Beaten, abandoned, alone, just like him. He doesn't hesitate. No words, no questions. He simply opens the cage. And side by side, the two wounded souls walk out into the night. No destination, no plan, just survival. Because John Wick may have buried his past, but fate just dug it back up. And as he disappears down the cold, empty street, one truth remains. He's back. John Wick wanted peace. He avenged his dog, recovered his car, walked away again. But peace is not something the underworld grants freely. Because when you make a blood oath, a marker, you owe more than loyalty. You owe your soul. And someone just came knocking. In John Wick. Chapter 2, the boogeyman isn't being hunted. This time, he's the one running. The story opens with John tracking down his stolen Mustang, which is being held by Abram Tarasov, the brother of Vigo Tarasov. Despite Abram's best efforts to secure the car behind a fortress of metal, guards, and muscle, John tears through them like a storm. A flurry of brutal hand-to-hand combat and car-based takedowns leaves a trail of wreckage in his wake. Eventually, John retrieves the car and, in an unexpected move, offers peace to Abram. The violence ends as quickly as it began. For John, this wasn't revenge. It was closed. He brings the damaged car home and begins rebuilding his life in solitude once again. Just when John thinks he's free, his past comes knocking. Santino D'Antonio, a powerful figure from the Italian underworld, arrives at his doorstep with a marker, a blood oath that John once swore to him in exchange for help getting out of the assassin's life. Santino demands that John fulfill the promise by killing his sister, Gianna, so he can claim her seat at the high table. John refuses, trying to hold onto his fragile peace. But Santino is not a man who takes no for an answer. That night, John's home is engulfed in flames as Santino blows it up. Left with nothing but his dog and a debt he cannot escape, John is forced to unearth his weapons once more. The marker must be honored, and this time it might cost him everything. John travels to Rome, checking into the Continental there to prepare for the hit. He suits up, gathering an arsenal of custom weapons and tactical gear. He infiltrates Gianna's coronation party, a lavish event set in ancient ruins under the Roman night sky. When he confronts her in her private chambers, Gianna chooses to die on her own terms, slitting her wrists in the bath. John, bound by his oath, delivers a mercy shot to complete the job. But as he tries to escape, Gianna's loyal guard, Cassian, and Santino's own men ambush him. A cat-and-mouse chase unfolds through the catacombs of Rome, where John moves like a ghost, dispatching attackers with ruthless precision. He survives, but knows this is far from over. As John escapes through the shadowy catacombs, he is met by waves of assassins sent by Santino, not to protect the secret, but to silence John permanently. Using every corner and echo to his advantage, John blends stealth with aggression, turning each ambush into an opportunity. Outside, Cassian finds him, and the two engage in a savage duel that stretches through the streets and even onto a subway train. Their battle is as much about honor as it is survival, and though both survive, it's clear the underworld has turned its eyes back to John Wick. Back in New York, Santino raises the bounty on John's head to $7 million, unleashing a swarm of killers. The city, once John's hunting ground, becomes a jungle filled with predators. Now a marked man, John must fight for every breath. Assassins come from every corner, a violinist, a sumo wrestler, an old rival. Each battle is choreographed chaos. In a mirror-laden museum exhibit, John confronts Santino's top assassin, Ares, and her elite guards. Mirrors and illusions turn every step into a trap. John dispatches them in a visual ballet of gunfire and hand-to-hand combat, bleeding but unbroken. He corners Santino, but the villain escapes into the New York Continental, where killing is strictly forbidden. Santino believes he's safe. John, however, has reached his limit, and the rules? They no longer matter. Inside the Continental Lounge, Santino eats calmly, gloating. John enters, silent and seething. Without hesitation, he draws his pistol and shoots Santino point-blank. The lounge falls silent. Winston, the Continental manager, has no choice but to declare John excommunicado. All privileges are revoked. John is now a target, with a global bounty of $14 million. He is given 1 hour before the contract becomes active. Every eye on the street turns toward him. Every phone rings. The world is coming for John Wick, and he walks, not with fear, but with fury. John walks into the chaos, each step echoing with purpose. He is no longer the man trying to escape. He is a storm walking into a city of enemies. Winston calls after him, offering a final warning. The world is against him now. But John Wick doesn't look back. He disappears into the crowd, into the shadows. The underworld made him. Now it will pay the price. Because John isn't running anymore. He's hunting, and the war has just begun. John Wick broke the rules. He killed a man on Continental grounds. Now, with a $14 million bounty on his head, Every assassin in the world is after him. The High Table has spoken. The excommunicado order is active. He has no allies, no sanctuary, just 1 hour to prepare before the world comes hunting. This isn't just a fight for survival. It's a fight against the very system he once served. John Wick is about to start a war alone. As the clock ticks down, John rushes through the rainy streets of New York City, wounded and desperate. He heads to the New York Public Library, retrieving a hidden cache from behind a book, a crucifix, a marker, and old coins. There, he is ambushed by a massive assassin. Armed with only a book, John fights for his life in a brutal, bone-crushing duel between shelves. Barely surviving, he knows the hour is up. Now, they're all coming. Now, truly excommunicado, John becomes the prey in a city of predators. He battles assassins on horseback in Central Park, in antique weapon shops, and along neon-lit alleyways. Every killer tries to claim the bounty, but John Wick remains a force of precision and fury. Bloodied, battered, but not broken, he seeks a way out of the city. There is only one path left: invoke his past and beg for a chance to survive. John turns to the Ruska Roma, a brutal Russian crime syndicate led by the director. He presents his crucifix, his last tie to the family who raised him. The director reluctantly agrees to help him escape, branding him with fire and sending him to Casablanca. But the price is steep. There is no return from this. John is shedding the last layers of his past, turning into something even darker. The boogeyman isn't running anymore. He's transforming. In Casablanca, John seeks out Sophia, a former friend and fellow assassin who now manages the Moroccan Continental. He presents a marker, and though reluctant, Sophia honors it. Together, they journey into the desert, facing waves of armed mercenaries. Sophia's 2 loyal Belgian Malinois dogs fight alongside them. The gunfight is stylish chaos, flawless choreography in golden sands and bullet storms. Eventually, Sophia leads John to the Elder, the one man above the High Table. John collapses in the desert, nearly dead. He is found by the Elder's men and brought before him. To earn forgiveness, the Elder demands John's fealty. John must kill Winston,
the first of which will be the man they called Winston,
the manager of the New York Continental. In a moment of despair and clarity, John agrees.
I will, sir.
He severs his wedding ring, a symbol of his old life, and pledges loyalty to the High Table. He now walks not for vengeance, but for obligation. But nothing in this world is simple. Back in New York, John reunites with Winston, who refuses to step down. Instead of killing him, John joins forces with him and Sharon to defend the Continental. The High Table sends an elite strike force. What follows is an epic, close-quarters gun battle through the luxurious, bulletproof walls of the Continental. John and Sharon fight side by side, eliminating wave after wave of armored enemies with skill and brutality. It is war, dressed in suits and lit by crystal chandeliers. In the aftermath, the adjudicator meets with Winston. Winston, ever the survivor, betrays John to preserve the Continental. He shoots John multiple times, sending him over the edge of the building. John falls, broken and bleeding. He disappears into the alleyway below. But he is not dead. He is delivered to the Bowery King, who is also wronged by the High Table. Together, they share a truth. They are both angry. They both want revenge. And now, they're going to burn the High Table to the ground. John Wick has survived betrayal, bullets, and the endless hunt of the High Table. But now, he's no longer just a man trying to live. He's a man at war. With the Bowery King at his side, John is no longer running. He's hunting. The High Table's rules have shattered. A global network of power and blood must be brought down, no matter the cost. But vengeance carries its own price, and freedom may demand the ultimate sacrifice. The film opens in the Moroccan desert. John Wick charges on horseback toward the Elder's camp. Gunfire erupts. He confronts the Elder, a different man now leading. Without hesitation, John kills him, sending a message. The High Table's control is not divine. This act of rebellion sets the entire world of assassins into a frenzy. John Wick has declared all-out war. In Paris, the High Table responds by appointing the Marquis de Gramont, a cunning and ruthless enforcer with limitless resources and a flair for the theatrical. He is tasked with erasing John Wick from existence. The Marquis begins dismantling all who helped John, starting with the Continental in New York. Winston watches his sanctuary be destroyed, and Sharon, the loyal concierge, is executed. The stakes have never been higher. John travels to Osaka, Japan, seeking refuge at the Osaka Continental, run by his old friend Shinsekoji. The Continental is soon attacked by High Table assassins led by Kane, a blind killer and reluctant old friend of John. An intense battle unfolds through neon-lit halls, ancient weapon rooms, and cherry blossom gardens. Koji sacrifices himself to protect his daughter Akira and John, proving once again that loyalty in this world always comes with blood. To challenge the High Table legally, John must earn a seat at the table. For that, he must be accepted back into a family. He travels to Berlin to rejoin the Ruska Roma. They agree, if he kills Killa, a grotesque crime boss who betrayed them. In a thunderous nightclub showdown, with water raining down and music pounding, John takes down dozens of guards and finally eliminates Killa, earning his seat by right of blood and brutality. John challenges the Marquis to a duel, a formal fight governed by High Table tradition. The duel is accepted. If John wins, he will be free. The location, Sacré-Cœur in Paris. The time dawn. As the rules are drawn, the Marquis appoints Kane as his champion. The irony stings. Brother must fight brother. The city braces for a night like no other. Before the duel, John must reach the church by dawn. Assassins flood Paris. He battles them in traffic near the Arc de Triomphe, up the chaotic steps of Montmartre, and through abandoned buildings. Shot, thrown, nearly broken, John is helped by Tracker, a mysterious bounty hunter with a loyal dog, who recognizes John's honor. John reaches the steps, bloodied but standing. The duel begins. At sunrise, John and Kane duel with pistols. Shot after shot, they bleed, neither willing to quit. In the final round, John holds his shot. The Marquis, arrogant, steps in to finish John himself. But he never realized John hadn't fired. With one last bullet, John kills the Marquis. He wins. Winston is reinstated, Kane is freed, and John collapses. In peace, he seems to die. Later, a gravestone reads, "Loving husband." But the truth? John Wick's legend may be eternal.